There we go. All right, guys. Welcome to IACommand, the podcast. I'm Tori Ease.
I'm Hita77.
And Johnny is with us. He'll be on and off. I don't know if he'll be on or off, but he will be on or off.
Hopefully
And
on then off.
that's Johnny saying hello for you guys. All right, so we just all got back from Gen Con. We got to meet for the first time. That was pretty cool. I got to play X-Wing and Imperial Assault Nationals, and got to do a couple interviews. That was pretty much my Gen Con experience. Got to demo a game. Johnny or Ida, you guys want to explain your Gen Con experience real fast?
Yeah, I got to play really badly at the Star Wars LCG, and then kind of wandered around the exhibit hall Saturday, played a little bit of Game of Thrones in preparation for the Kingslayer, and then played a lot better at Kingslayer, so made a top 16 there, so that was good.
All right, and Johnny, I don't know if you can talk a lot, can you?
What do you want me to say?
Your Gen Con experience, if you could sum that up.
Oh, my Gen Con experience was fine, except for I got 8th with an asterisk in the championship.
So, yeah, Johnny got 8th with an asterisk. That's the best way to put it. In Imperial Assault Nationals. And we'll explain this all later. But right now what I want to do is I want to talk about the expansions that came out. So the first one being Twin Shadows. We could go over this pretty fast. It has a lot of campaign cards. I feel like it's more campaign than skirmish oriented. For Rebels, you got a couple of options. You've got Saska Teft for 6 points. We've all seen her card. I wasn't impressed with her when she first came out. I mean, I'm still on the fence about her. How do you guys feel about Saska?
I'd agree. Let me say this. I think it's cool that she's in Scum and Villainy guy. So that's always awesome, especially for the skirmish, because it's a cheap way of getting a Scum and Villainy guy into Rebel versus the opposite. So that's cool.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not so sure I'm like super excited about her as a card. She just doesn't seem quite as good as some of the other heroes at the same point cost. But again, like I said, you could kind of say that like one of those points, like the temporary alliance part of it. So I'll say this: I have not yet built a list where I didn't use the Scum and she was included. So if I use the Scum, then clearly she's a pretty good option.
I want to say something about her.
Okay.
Okay, so I think she's actually pretty good for her cost because of everything that she can do. But there is a card that we'll be talking about that got revealed in Return of Hoth that I think will be really good that we'll talk about later.
Okay. And the next card is Biv Bordok. Whenever I look at this guy, he's 9 points. He reminds me a lot of the Elite Ewub. He's 1 point more than the Elite Ewub. He rolls the same attack dice. He can attack twice. The first time using a red and yellow, and it has to be melee. And then the second time he shoots the same guy with a blue, red, yellow. And I'll be 100% honest, he's not as good as the Elite Ewub. The only difference that makes him better than the Elite Ewub for the 1 point is he has a higher health, higher speed by 1, and he can shoot and move at the same turn. How do you guys feel about Biv?
I actually really like Biv. I haven't gotten a whole lot of chance to play with him just yet, but let's just say his ability to do the melee and the range shot in one as like basically one big attack is something that I'm pretty excited about. While I wouldn't necessarily say he doesn't compare like super well to like Luke Skywalker for a very similar point cost, he's actually not very bad. Like I said, I actually kind of like that guy.
All right. And I'm going to move away from the R2D2 and C3PO, as
Hold on, I
well
want to
as...
talk about Biv.
Okay, go ahead and talk about Biv.
I'm chatty tonight.
All right, Johnny's chatty. I think once Johnny got top 8, he became a lot more talkative.
No, hold on. Top 8 with an asterisk.
With an asterisk. And again, we will explain this.
Okay. So I think Viv is really good with his command card. I think he's a good counter to Vader. And with the pass rule, I actually think you could run him with like more protection with C3PO, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and some other protective cards like Chewie. He can do a lot of damage to one character. So.
You see, and I can see that. And as far as Rebels, I think he's a good option. I really like my Elite Webs, and whenever I compare the two, it's really no comparison.
Well, here's the thing: is he's a good melee character, but he's also a fairly good shooter. He can do close to the damage that Han can do. Not as far as range, but if you focus him, he can do some pretty crazy damage for 9 points from far away.
By the way, let's get some of these models up here. So this is Biv, or not Biv. That's Teft.
That's Asuka.
And I think they did a really good job with her.
Yep.
Biv, the one thing I did not like about Biv, this reminds me more of the SWTOR game. You know, the Trooper class. He reminds me a lot of the Trooper class, but they didn't give him the Trooper title, like the Trooper trait. I was a little disappointed by that. All right, so we got to Biv. Let's go ahead and skip R2D2 and C3PO since they didn't come in this pack, except by cards, whatever. And go with the Heavy Stormtrooper. Heavy Stormtrooper's a 6'3" for the base, has the composite armor and everything else that makes him good. +2 accuracy, red-blue die. I like these guys. They're a nice, more mobile version of the E-Webs. So if you're looking for a mobile E-Web army, this is kind of your easy way of getting around it. So I like these guys. What are your guys' thoughts on them? You get twice as much HP, at least.
Yeah, I actually like those guys quite a bit. I especially like the gray ones, although I could see where the red ones for the Blast 2 and the +2 would be taking maybe a little bit more. The thing I keep thinking about is every time I'm trying to build a Kane Storm list, I have like 6 points. And I really like a question of, okay, am I going to go normal Stormies who have less health and maybe don't do as much damage, or do I go with the Heavy Stormtrooper? And so I'm actually going to like these guys because I think they do bring something to a list where they're a little bit less likely to be killed by blasts and stuff like that, but then also be still able to dish out a good amount of damage. And then, like I said, having blast is always kind of a nice little bonus, especially because they're also a heavy weapon, so you can use the heavy card with them, which is always really good.
I do agree. This is the Imperial's best way to get blast. You get 2 blasts with the Elite and 1 blast with the regular for a surge. 2 guys per model. You got to pull the model out. I really like these guys. They remind me of the Sand Troopers, which they did a great job with that backpack. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you got the big heavy weapon there. I like it a lot.
Time for me to talk again.
All right, Johnny's going to talk and tell us that he hates the model. All right, go ahead.
It's crap.
Okay, could you?
You got to explain why.
No. Okay. No, I actually think they're pretty good. I think they're almost equivalent of saboteurs in a way, just because of that +1 from far away. I think they have a good fit for the Imperial. Like they'll with the pass roll, I think they work really, really well, and you don't have to run 4-4 now. You can substitute with some shooters. I think the problem with 4-4, at least for me, was they didn't have a shooter. So now you can substitute at least one group for a shooter or add an E-Web.
Well, and I want to talk about that later with the 4-4 group. I saw a great list, which was 3 Royal Guards, and just one E-Web. I loved it.
Okay, well,
But
he had.
we're going to talk about this later.
No,
Johnny, you're in and out. Your mic is being horrible right now.
How about now?
Better. All right. So moving on to, and you can run both the elite and the regular. You get 4 of the troopers in this pack.
Now, before we go too far, I think one of the things, like when I finally opened up the box, that I was actually a little disappointed by was that they did the thing again where you got 2 units, but you only got 1 of each of the cards. I don't know if anybody from Fantasy Play is listening to this, but we actually met with them and talked to them, and I kind of wish I had brought this up as a potential thing that maybe they might want to think about, is when you're giving 2 groups of models, give us two of each of the cards, right? Give us 2 grays and 2 reds. That way we don't have to go crazy and buy a bajillion of the expansion.
You'll need to buy 4 of these expansion packs to run 4 gray troops. That's insane. Insanity right there.
I mean, I don't even see myself doing that. Like, I'm a really competitive guy, and I like having everything and being able to play just about anything. But at some point, it just becomes not economical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not really worth it.
Johnny, your mic is being horrible right now.
You guys are definitely, like, you're trying to make money, and I get that, but I don't think 2 cards are going to break the bank.
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do all with campaign. Because if you add them, it's not balanced with campaign because they could now have an extra group.
Well, and again, and we could get this addressed in a pack, say, because I would be okay with this if they make like a Stormtrooper pack and they put in a couple extra gray cards. That would be amazing. Or if they do like a Heavy Troopers pack and they put in a couple extra gray cards for us. Or if they make...
It's just the waiting time until that, like this. We already know there's going to be a Stormtrooper pack, right?
Sure.
And that's all well and good, but at what point, like, are we going to have packs after packs after packs that are stuff that's already been released, you know, later and later and later? And I could get, like, you know, I don't know. Let's say this. Please come up with a way to get us more cards without having to make us buy a whole bunch of extra stuff.
And I would be willing to pay like $5 or $10 for just a pack of cards, which would be amazing. Like a campaign. This is the skirmish box that can go with your campaign. It has just cards, and I'd be okay with that.
Well, and like you still have to get 2 Twin Shadows in order to get enough models. Technically, like if I wanted to field 4 gray heavy Stormtroopers, which
or if you wanted to do 3 for all elites and 4 grays, yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying I'd want to do that, like, right off the bat, but it would be nice if there was a more economical way to do it, because, like I said, I opened it up and I was like, all right, cool, I got 1 Tusken, or 2 groups of Tuskens, and I got 1 gray and 1 red, and I was like, but I could see myself running 4 groups of gray Tuskens, right? And so now I'm in this, like, should I get 4 Twin Shadows? Right?
All right.
Hopefully they'll look into that.
All right, so we got this really cool thing, which is the Tusken Raider, and we'll go over the card first. I don't know if the cards were spoiled, so if they weren't, I want to put them. They were. Yeah. The habitat, that was interesting. They're very interesting. They have the new weaken ability, which I should have my weaken right here, which is the harmful edition. It adds -1 surge while you're attacking if you're weakened, and it adds -1 cancel surge, and then you just discard it at the end. It's interesting. Especially if you rely on surges, yeah. If you're like the elite E-Web who might get 1, and if he does, might get 2 or 3. I find a lot with the elite E-Webs, he has more surges than he knows what to do with, or he doesn't have enough. So it's interesting on who to weaken and why. If they're depending on that surge, then absolutely. And then, good.
No, I'm actually really excited about the Tusken. I think it's a pretty good option because you get like 2 models per group, and they do a decent amount of damage for their cost. And so, like I said, I'm actually kind of excited about these. I keep hoping that the more Scum cars that get put out, the more likely Scum is going to be like a legitimate list. And I think once the Bantha comes out, that might be a real possibility. So we'll see. Hopefully, like I said, these guys will stick around and be pretty good. But again, I would like to have 2 gray cars at least, so that I could just get 2 Twin Shadows and be good to go.
So they did a really good job again with the model. The one thing I see about this model that I'm not a big fan of, but it's just personal taste, is this right here is solid underneath. But if I take a knife, I can just kind of whittle that out and kind of give it the kind of like a little, what would you call that? Convex.
Convex, yeah.
Only a little thing. I mean,
well,
it's very minor. They did a good job with it.
Well, and I don't know how yours came out, but my guys' gaffy sticks were pretty bent up.
Yes.
Now, and let me go into modeling real quick. If you don't know how to fix that, you put them under, like, run some hot water, boil some water, whatever you got to do. Get a little pot of boiling water, and then get a little pot of ice water. Like, literally put ice in, right? You dip the model in the hot water, you bend it to wherever you want it, and you dip it in the cold water. So it's not a big deal. But I think all 4 of mine were pretty bent up, and I haven't fixed them yet, but I will need to. So
here's a straight model versus a bent model.
Yeah. Yeah. They came out.
Both of them are kind of bent, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
They came out a little bit, just a little bit messed up. But like I said, that's not really Fancy Flight's fault necessarily. It's just how resin happens to work when it's in a box for too long.
Okay, so you look at the card art for the gaffy stick, which is what that is, and it's a little bent. So I'm okay with it being bent. It works. I'm not too unhappy with it being bent. And of course, the ice water trick is an easy way to fix it.
It's a very easy fix. So that's a minor quibble. But like I said, I was hoping for one that would be like pretty close to good, and they were all pretty jacked up. It's gonna be okay.
So I think Tuscans are going to be a lot of fun to run, and they're a little bit more dangerous in my opinion than the Royal Guards, without the Royal Guards being able to get focused. But if you run these things with like a way to focus them, they become a little bit more dangerous. They have the cleave ability, which is something that we don't really get to see a lot in skirmish. We have a couple of the rebels that can cleave, but we don't get a lot of it. And so I like the ability to cleave. I like how the Imperial or the Scum can kind of cleave.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep every time I see cleave on something, I feel like it needs to be stronger. I don't know if you've gotten that feeling yet or not, because every time I look at Blast, I'm like, wow, Blast 1, Blast 2, that's already just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But Cleave's just a little bit weaker. It'd be nice to see like a stronger Cleave. And I know at some point you kind of have to be careful. Like if they put Cleave 3 on something, then that would be kind of ridiculous.
Well, it's not as bad as that, and I definitely understand, because Blast does it to all of the figures, where Cleave, it only does it to one of the figures. So, Cleave what's that?
Yeah, I just mean that like they have to be careful, because you don't want to get into situations where like I'm hitting a Royal Guard and I'm killing the officer next to him basically for free, right? But by the same token, you do want Cleave to do more, because like you mentioned, it only hits one guy, not a whole bunch of guys. So I don't know. Like I said, hopefully we'll see a way where Cleave becomes a little bit more relevant. Because right now I kind of feel like every time I see him, like, well, yay, if I get to use that, yay. If not, then oh well. Right.
And the range, Johnny, your mic is.
I really like it on the next suit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the next suit has Cleave.
Well, especially when they had the one that like has innate bleed or whatever.
Yeah.
Although I still think you only bleed the guy that you're gonna.
Yeah, you only bleed the first guy. You don't bleed the second.
Like you said, it'd be nice if some of that stuff carried over on the Cleave, because it's a little bit more limited than Blast. Because first of all, you have to be in melee. Second of all, you have to have another guy in melee, and then third of all, you have to actually trigger the surge, right? And so, It'd just be kind of nice if Cleve was a little bit more powerful.
Yes, but because the elite next suit is Lars based, it doesn't have to be to the target. This has to be someone adjacent to him. So it's
Right.
actually not that. I actually like it on the elite next suit, and I think I still should play the elite next suit in the top 8. I mean, in the championship.
All right, so that would have been interesting, but at least you have top 8 with an asterisk. So, anyways, Cleve is definitely interesting, and we can go back and forth and argue about Blast and how it's more powerful. But if you are right next to an opponent and you blast, you take the damage yourself.
If you're blasting, it's because you're a ranged character, right? So if you're standing right next to the guy, then you were asking for it.
I definitely agree, 100%. All right, and is that all we got in the models? That's all we got in the model. So I was very disappointed whenever I opened up the box. I was like, okay, let's open this up and see what we got. And the missions are missions. Not happy, not mad about.
No, I actually kind of like the missions overall. I think they're definitely an improvement over some of the ones that we're currently using. So that's always nice.
I haven't looked at it too much. I probably should have, but I haven't yet. Let's see what these are what I want to talk about right here. So what I was
like the one mission.
Well, we'll get into the missions later. We'll get into the missions later. What I was disappointed with, very, 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 very disappointed with, is it only came with 3 command cards, 3 of them, and 2 of them.
I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's really more of a campaign box, and I definitely felt the same way. It definitely felt more like a campaign box, especially because it added the new tiles and stuff like that. And I guess I didn't realize, or maybe I just forgotten that there was new tiles in that box. So when I opened that up, I was like, oh, cool. And then one of the tiles is like gigantic. It's humongous, right? So that was pretty awesome. I mean, like it's easily like 10-20% bigger than all the tiles, the biggest tile that you got in the core set. So that was cool. Like I said, I was happy to see that.
I haven't opened that up yet, but we will.
Yeah, it's like one side's like a cantina and the other side's like this Imperial base like console screen area or a control tower area or whatever.
All right.
And that was really awesome. Like I said, I opened that thing up and I was like, holy crap, this thing's humongous.
All right, so let's go into the command cards. We have the Hidden Trap, which is Sasuke's. I think we went over this. I believe they've spoiled both of these. I was hoping for more command cards. This is an action. Choose a figure adjacent to that terminal. Choose a terminal. Each figure adjacent to that terminal suffers 2 damage. I like this card, especially with some of the missions on it. If you use Sasuke and you happen to pull like the RGC map, I think this is definitely an interesting one to like just pop a bunch of damage through.
Yeah, like, her ability's not bad. I think there's definitely missions, and I think one of the missions in that box is actually a terminal mission, so it's definitely one that you can get some use out of. Here and there, at the very least. I wouldn't say her card is like one of the best cards for, the individual characters, but it's not bad.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say this might be the first card that we've seen that if you're running that character, you might not run this card.
Well, I'm gonna go back on that because on the core set, I think Jin Dan's card I'm just not very excited about. So maybe not the first, but definitely one of the few for sure.
All right. Okay. And then the other card is Stay Down. This is a good card. This is a great card, which is the. You okay there, Johnny? So we have the Stay Down card by Biv, which lets him do the Royal Guard thing and attack 3 times. It's not quite as good as the Royal Guards. You become stunned afterwards, but it's still pretty cool. You get to like murder someone.
This is a card. This is a card I think you play if you're playing Biv.
I 100% agree with that. And this card I was extremely excited about because it's a zero-cost card. It gives you more options in your command deck.
Yeah.
And it gives you an action, you attack with it, and you have a surge when you attack, and it is a Pierce 1 and Weaken. I like that.
Yeah,
Allows you to-
that one I definitely like. I like getting the zero cost, and I think we got a couple other zero costs in the figure packs this time around, so that was nice to see. But I wouldn't say I think that card's very good overall, but it's always nice to see that you're getting some more zeros to compete with, take the initiative and element of surprise and stuff like that.
So I just want to point out, I really like this guy's face. Like, the sheer terror on his face is just beautiful. All right. So that's all the command cards. You get a ton of different cards. I definitely want to bring this card out. I was looking through some of the card art, and you get the modified blasters, the trophy armor, the vibro, whatever for campaign. There is one that I like more than all of the others, which is going to be I like the gaffy stick, but this was kind of the cool part for Star Wars Episode 1. I like the Darth Maul scene, and then I also like the chance cubes. So being that they brought out the chance cubes was kind of cool. I like that.
Yep. Yeah, that card's actually pretty good too, if I remember correctly, where you get to try again on something. That's always nice.
All right, it's valuable. At the end of mission, you may discard 1 crate token and roll 1 blue die. If the accuracy is 4 or higher, the heroes receive 200 credits.
Yeah, that card's actually kind of funny because ordinarily you only get 100 credits, and so what you're banking on is that maybe this crate will be worth double. So that's kind of awesome. And 100 credits in the campaign doesn't sound like much, but it is a lot. So.
Well, would it be 100 or would it be 200 or 300?
Oh, maybe it's 150 because I think the crates are usually worth 50. I don't remember exactly. The crates are worth an innate amount, and I don't remember how much it is. But
right, but would you get that stacked on top?
No, because you discard one of your crates.
Oh, yeah. I see it now. I see it.
Yeah.
Just how much I pay attention. All right, all of those cards are going right back in here. And then... And this is kind of our unboxing video. We wanted to do an unboxing while we were at Gen Con, but had so much other stuff going on. All right, so you get a nice little booklet. Okay, so you get a nice little booklet. It talks about more campaign stuff. Twin Shadows. I'm going to read the prologue because it's kind of cool. It's Twin Shadows. The galactic civil war continues to rage through the galaxy. The Empire's reach grows longer, and its grasp becomes tighter. Even those on the Outer Rim cannot escape. In response to this growing threat, Han Solo has gone to the desert planet of Tatooine with 2 droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO, hoping to investigate the local Imperial presence. Now communication with Solo is lost, and a team of elite Rebel operatives speeds toward the planet, hoping to find answers. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, which is the map pieces. It's sealed. I don't know the best way to open this. All right, so you get a lot of, you get some more damage tokens. I think that was a little unnecessary.
Yeah, you get a little of some strain as well, but it's always nice to have a few extra tokens here and there, I suppose.
You get some new tokens. I'm actually going to disagree with you. I think we have a bigger map piece.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That map piece is easily.
No, I disagree. I think we have one bigger in the current set.
I'm gonna totally disagree.
Okay. Well, let's find out. I'll grab it real fast. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
All right, so I'm not unpacked yet, but I'm believing for the one mission, there was a piece that was like almost the size of a tile, one of these boards. I'm pretty sure it's bigger than this piece.
yeah,
Right?
the new one is
Wasn't
totally
there,
bigger than that one. Yeah.
no, wasn't there a piece in the campaign that was bigger than this one?
Yeah, there was one that's like a little bit like you had 2 squares on either side of that one, but that one's still like
All right.
monster
So
in comparison.
then we've got 2 squares here, and it's the same size here.
Well, like I said, it's like just.
It is still.
When I was punching it out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one piece.
It looks like the bridge of a bridge of a thing and a cantina, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then here, some
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
map pieces here, more desert pieces. I kind of like this L-shaped one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you got more inside pieces here. Kind of cool.
Yep.
And then another really cool L-shape outside, of course. And then more like broken area. You got some blue areas. I like it. And same thing over here. Just your normal map. You got a big red space here. I like it. You get some variety. I can't wait to see if any of the maps actually kind of interact. That's it. All right, so it only came with one mission for whatever.
One map.
One map. And it does use 2 tiles from the core set, and then all the other tiles from this new map. So this is what the new map looks like. You guys want to read the description or whatever, it's right here. You can pause the video. I'm not going to read it to you. And if you want to pause the video and go back or whatever, here are the missions. Make sure we can get that on there to pause. And again, A, pause. All right. Missions are standard. All right. So that's Twin Shadows. I think they did a good job with Twin Shadows. Again, I was disappointed on the skirmish side that there wasn't a lot of, but whatever. All right.
Yeah,
These
I
cards.
was disappointed, but yeah, I definitely had a little bit less on the more leaning the campaign on that one.
So I will say something cool. This is still shipping across the sea. What I want to do with my core set is, with my Twin Shadows, I wanted to buy a second one. I totally forgot while I was down there. But I'm going to try to send this to boardwars.eu. So I'll get in touch with you guys at BoardWars and mail this out to you guys so you can have fun with the skirmish. Not skirmish, the campaign version of it. You guys love campaign, so kudos to you guys. All right, so which card do you guys want to get in first? I tell you what, let's leave Kane for last. I like Kane.
Okay.
How about we get into C-3PO and R2-D2?
All
I
right.
was very excited to see this.
Yes.
So the coolest thing about R2-D2 is it comes with 2 cards. We saw this in the preview. One is the campaign, one is the skirmish. A lot of this is for thematic reasons, and we talked about it in an interview that we had that they did a lot of this only for campaign versus because they wanted to have cool abilities. The only difference between the two is Scomp Link versus Computer Interface Arm. The one is to allow you to do a tech, like to open a door, whatever, journ, whatever. So R2-D2 can do damage. I like it. It's a yellow die. Can't really do a lot. Weaken. I didn't read a lot on it, but do you have to deal damage to weaken somebody?
Yeah, it's a harmful condition, so yeah.
right? So you do have to do damage. It's going to definitely be hard. You do have that Pierce 2, though.
Well, this was brought up on the forums a little bit, but one of the things about having to do damage with some of that stuff is that you got to remember that he and 3PO, and I know we're about to get to 3PO, they share speed, and so it wouldn't be that big of a surprise to kind of see 3PO following him around, especially because one of 3PO's abilities will help him with that problem.
And the action is to inform. Now, they did something really cool here. The white die has one blink side to it and one evade side to it. They have an ability called Lucky. So you have a 2 in 6 chance to a 1 in 3 chance to roll and evade. C3PO has an action to inform. It is choosing an adjacent friendly figure. That figure becomes focused. He has an ability called Cower. He does not have Lucky. He's not lucky. He should be. He's pretty lucky. He has Cower, which is the same thing that the officers have, so you can reroll that white defense die. So theoretically, he has the same chance as R2-D2 to roll and evade.
Yep.
I think there's like slight variance, but it's not. It's mostly the 1 in 3 chance. Distracting. This is a cool ability. He gives somebody a +1 surge cancel. I believe this works really well with. Who does it work well with? Han Solo. I like it.
Well, and Jin Dan and the Nexu. Anything that has the one where you get a block. I think it's cunning, or you get a block.
Yeah, cunning. It's cunning. And then he's a non-combatant, so he cannot attack. Even if he is focused, he cannot attack. Very interesting. So I wonder how much we'll see C3PO with R2-D2. I like how they're together. I like how they focus. I love Gideon. C3PO is 2 points. R2-D2 is 3 points. I don't know. I like them. I like them a lot. What are your guys' thoughts on them?
I think we'll definitely see 3PO a ton. I think 3PO.
We will see 3PO a lot with the cross-faction decks.
Yeah, well, and even just 3PO like in Rebels. 3PO is very, very good for his price. I do think that R2 for 3 can be a little bit more tricky because you kind of need to be able to use his abilities. Not to say that he's not useful, right? His abilities are definitely very useful, and getting command cards is definitely worthwhile. It's just the cost. If he was 2 points, I would see him all over the place. At 3, I'm not necessarily saying he's not. He will see play, right? His abilities are definitely very good, but that's a point cost where I might debate not playing him. Whereas 3PO, I just feel like focusing a dude for 2 points every turn, that feels like has to happen.
Absolutely, I love the 2 points.
Okay,
and then
so I'm the opposite.
You hate C3PO.
No.
Think
I didn't think R2 was that good, but he's really good at controlling points. So with all the missions that we have right now, he's really good, and his command card is amazing on 2 of the maps that Rebels aren't very good at. IG-88's map, the one that you have to control terminals, and then the door one.
Royal Guards champion, right?
So
we'll get into that card, but let's wait till we get into the card. So we have hard to hit. This is my favorite card, the second favorite card in the pack, which any figure can use it, and you get to reroll 1 defense die. It's an amazing card, probably an auto include, because it's a 0-point card. Any figure can use it. I think this is going to be your auto include.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I do like that we got another 0 cost. But
okay.
And if you're rolling a lot of white defense dice, guys, then maybe I could see it being played. But again, you only have 15 slots in your deck, right? And a lot.
Yeah, but how many of those are going to be 0-point cards?
Well, right now it's like almost half of them, if not more than half.
Right.
And so the issue is it's like remember when we were talking about focus, the one where you can just focus your dude as an action.
Yeah,
I think that
I
card is
misspoke
very
about that
very
one.
good, and you know what? You almost never see it, and you know why?
No,
Because you
it's a
just don't
1 point
have card
card.
slots for that, right?
I agree. It's a
And
1 point
so
card. I don't have the slot for it.
kind of feel like this is a similar idea. Like if you have a lot of like, let's say you've got like Han Solo and Luke and Chewbacca, and they all have white dice, and they're all big guys. I could see where you might want to include that, just so that when like they're getting close to death, you might have a chance to dodge and save them. Um, but otherwise, I'm not so sure. I mean, rerolling a black dice doesn't typically work out all that well. Rolling a white dice can work out really well, but sometimes it doesn't. And for a card that's it's eating up a slot, I don't know. It's not like Bodyguard, where Bodyguard lets you like totally move the attack to somebody else or something like that. This one's a little bit more limited. It is a 0.0, so that's nice, but I'm not so sure about its viability overall.
Okay. Fair point. The other 0 point card is Devotion. If you're running a droid, you're probably going to want this one in here, especially probe droids. It takes an action and choose an adjacent friendly figure. Search your command deck and draw one card with that figure's name as a trait and reveal it and shuffle your main card. So you draw a free command card, basically. And it's an amazing command card at that.
Yeah, this one definitely seemed worth it. If you're playing droids, the 0. Well, now let's go back to the Elite Probe thing, though. A lot of times, Elite Probe isn't featured in a list where there's actually a guy that has a unique command card for him. Now, granted, you can get anything, so that's always nice. But it's like if you're playing Vader with Elite Probes, then sure. But a lot of times you're not, right? Or an Elite Probe with the Royal Guard Champion or something. But a lot of times you don't see that. So I actually feel like this is more of like a 3PO card. Because mid-game you can go get Son of Skywalker, you can go get Han's card, you could go get like I said, there's just some Rebels have a whole bunch of cards that you might want to get at any one moment. And having basically 2 copies of all those cards in your deck is always nice.
Well, not only that, but you get to get it on whenever you draw this card. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
It's a tutor. It lets you go get any one card. And so it's kind of like whatever card you needed, you basically had 2 copies of that card in your deck. So that's always good.
Right. So you have a higher chance of actually drawing that card. I like it. I like it a lot.
That's a 0-pointer that we'll see a lot of play.
It will. And you'll see this more with people that play card games, I think. People that don't play card games will be like, hey, what's the purpose? I have 15 card slots in this card. I'm discarding a card to basically get a card.
Well,
but for card games that know that getting that card is amazing and worth it, I think you'll see a lot more card gamers.
Well, and it's not just getting the card, right? You basically are getting 2 cards out of your deck for 1. Which, again, if there are...
No, I disagree, because you have to discard this card to be... Or not this one. Sorry. You have to discard that card to be able to get it.
Well, right, but here's the deal, right? I draw that card. I then play that card, and I go get another card out of my deck. So by drawing that 1 card, I basically took 2 cards out of my deck.
So you basically have... You turned your 15-card deck into a 14-card deck, and you have
exactly
2 copies...
Right. And the good part about that is it increases your chances of drawing all the other cards.
Of getting that really, really good card.
Well,
so if you have...
No, but you're just thinking about the 1 card. I'm talking about it gets you the 1 card for sure. But it also has chances of drawing all the other cards that you have not yet gotten because there's less cards in your deck.
And I agree with you. I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but I am saying that as a card gamer, you're going to be more likely to use this card because you know how much more powerful drawing that card is.
Okay. I mean, it lets you pretty much have a 1 in 3 shot of getting any card.
Yes. So, but it also, like I said, it also increases your chances of getting the other cards, too.
Yeah. I actually really like it for Imperials.
Yeah, and, like I said, probe droids can definitely use it. So let's go ahead and go with single purpose. This is my favorite card. out of all the packs, I think this is my favorite one. A single purpose. Basically, you get to use your special action twice on Vader. You get to attack 4 times, I believe,
you
right?
don't.
No? Okay.
No.
Either way, this is still a really good card. Elite Officer.
You can force choke twice.
Okay, so you can force choke twice. Can't brutality twice. That would be cool. Are you sure you can't brutality twice?
Yes.
Why?
Because you can still only make one attack every round, and brutality gets you around that, but you cannot take another action that would cause an attack after you were already brutality.
Yes, that's the ruling. Okay. Okay, so Elite Officer. You can cause somebody to shoot twice. Now,
That's true.
Elite Officer is okay. Who this really works well on is Kane Somos. I will be running this with Kane Somos. And we will get into this card because it is an amazing card. And Kane Somos combo. I love it. But you can use it with any other special ability. So if you have a guy with a special ability, you want to use it twice. Yeah, so Inform, Gideon, focus 2 guys. C-3PO, focus 2 guys. I think it's a great card. Any objections?
No, it's definitely good on the right people. It's definitely got a place on the right. Like, if you have the right guys, then it's definitely a worthwhile card.
All right, so R2-D2's card, terminal control. Johnny was talking about this. Yeah, you control those terminals. Just takes an action. And you control all of the terminals for that round. Amazing card. On IG-88's map, it gives you 10 points. On Royal Guard Champions map, it just opens doors, and then we'll see what else it does with the other maps. I think this one, if terminals are important, you take this. Otherwise, you don't take it. Thoughts?
That's probably fair.
Well, I don't know, because a lot of the maps, the terminals are in the open. So grabbing 2 command cards is actually pretty big and denying your opponent a command card.
You know, I could see that, but you know, I don't know. It's a 2-point card.
It's definitely worth. Like, if you're playing R2-D2, you're gonna play the card, right? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah, okay. So if you're playing R2-D2,
well, let me put it this way, right? It's just like a lot of people are playing the leader card, which name escapes me all of a sudden, but it's the one where you draw 2, and if you're not a leader, you have to discard 1.
Yeah, planning.
Is just draw 2, right? This card does feel a lot like that card, but it also gives you some added benefit on a lot of the missions, like what Johnny was saying. So it's definitely worth it. Yeah. Like I said, I think if you're playing R2, you'll probably play the card just like all the other, or a vast majority of most of the other named character cards. I think otherwise, I mean, obviously, if you're not playing R2-D2, you can't even play the card, so you won't.
I think it's really good with that droid card, because it lets you 2 chances of getting the R2 card.
Yep,
so,
yeah, I can see that.
And it also gives you a card to discard for strain if you need to discard a card.
All right, well, it's a good card. All right, so we have a card called Etiquette and Protocol, the funniest card I've seen. It's like C-3PO is stopping the Gamorrean guard from killing R2-D2. I love it. It's just the card art on this one is better than all the other cards. It's Etiquette and Protocol. I mean, what else can be said about that one? You have C-3PO defining etiquette to Gamorrean guard. So,
well, and that card's very good.
It is very good.
I like that card.
And it basically choose one hostile figure and a friendly figure in your line of sight if you're C-3PO. Till the end of the round, these figures cannot declare attacks targeting each other. Very good with C-3PO. Again, if this is C-3PO, you're taking his card.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Most Rebel lists will be taking 3PO, so that pretty much says it all right there.
All right, so let's get into Boba Fett. Now, there's one card in Boba Fett that kind of goes in with R2-D2. You can throw this on R2-D2. Explosive armaments. I doubt you ever will. It's 1 point, but you might. Basically, it's a hunter droid only. You attach it to them. Each figure in this group gains. It takes 2 surges. You get +1 damage, blast 2. Now, see, or R2-D2, he rolls a yellow die, and he has +1 surge. So he is getting those 2 surges because it is a yellow die. So you're basically giving him a free damage and a blast 2.
Well,
I kind of like it.
I'm not huge on this card in general. I think the double surge thing, like, it's cool.
It
but
takes 2 surges, but I think R2-D2 can pull it out because he has it. It's a way of getting those.
Oh, but it's blast, right?
It is blast 2.
So he still has to do damage to the target too. It's not.
And he has to get close to it too, which is crazy.
Like I said,
to focus R2.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not huge on this card because it costs you a point. And I think we did get it confirmed that does if that guy dies, you do give up the point. So
yeah, I believe that was the ruling.
But so it does do +1 damage and blast 2. I think the thing we're missing is it does +1 damage.
All right, so the next card is Boba Fett. Boba Fett is very good. He's Boba Fett.
He's garbage.
He's garbage. He's Boba Fett. Boba Fett is not garbage. He has +1 block, +1 cancel surge. He's mobile. His Pierce 1 is definitely weak. His weaken is interesting. Every time he attacks, he gets +2 accuracy, or he gets, for a surge, +2 damage, which is very nice, or he gets a recover 2. He's a little bit different than the most powerful unit in the game, the EWUB shooting unit, and the fact that he throws a green die instead of a blue die, or a red die. So he's blue, green, yellow. He has 12 health, speed 6. Speed 6 with mobile is huge. I like him. I like him a lot.
I was going to let Johnny talk. Let's hear why he's...
All right, so let's hear Johnny hate on Boba Fett.
Garbage.
Okay, explain why.
Okay, I'm joking around. I think he's actually really good. He's really mobile, and that +1 evade and +1 block are ridiculous. But I actually I actually think R2 is actually an okay counter because he's getting that +1 surge and he can weaken. So there is a fairly good chance if you have R2 focus, he could still damage Boba Fett.
So what really makes Boba Fett amazing is we have speedsters like Royal Guard Champion, Speed 6. Royal Guard Champion still needs to be right next to you. This guy, he has range. He just runs and guns. Runs and guns. You don't have... I don't think you have the ability to really corner this guy. I mean, he just...
I think this guy is like the ultimate in harassment. Like, you're never going to get away from him. So running is not an option. You're never really going to catch him unless they let you. And so that's not really much of an option. And his range attack is powerful enough that he's annoying as hell. A lot of the range attackers, like +1 block, +1 evade, is like automatically going to make most of the like decent range attack units be like, I can't do anything to this guy.
So I think battle presence, I don't know if we will ever get to use that. I think it's kind of weak on the card.
I think it's a really good. I think it's a really good ability.
I think it's a great ability, but I don't think we'll use it that much. I mean, I think we'll keep him away from units. I think that's suspicious.
I think they will use it. I think they can use it offensively. Now, I do think I generally feel like my strategy going into a game with him is going to be, I don't want him closer than like 3 or 4 spaces to most things. But there's always going to be those times where people like make moves that you didn't anticipate, and then they get closer, or they officer, and then they move closer, or whatever. And so I actually kind of like him. Like I said, I think that ability definitely isn't like like what you're necessarily like taking him for. It's not like, oh my gosh, how am I going to use this ability against my opponent constantly? It's really more of a like when you get it, it's nice to get some random like strain / damage going on there. And then obviously he's going to have the speed and mobility to get away. No pun intended. So
I agree. So we get a really funny card, Jump Jets. I don't know if we'll use this very much with Boba Fett since he's already so mobile. And he has a speed of 6. If you use Jump Jets, he becomes speed 5. Yeah, you get to put him in a space. That's a little bit different. If there's an ability like Battle Presence that if you move away from an opponent, then you kind of get in trouble. But with Jump Jets, you can just land beside somebody or jump out of the way, and you don't have to worry about abilities like Parting Blow or anything. Jump Jets is interesting. I don't know if we'll see it a lot on Boba Fett, but hello, this is good on Darth Vader. Darth Vader has speed 5. Jump Jets. I think it's kind of funny.
I think it's going to come down to the maps.
I tell you who this is really funny on is, and it would be hilarious, but you can't do it, is E-Webs. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to talk about E-Webs because I love E-Webs. But it's any small figure, so you can't do it on E-Webs.
You could do it on R2.
You could do it on R2, and that would make sense to put it on R2. Thematically, it would make sense.
yeah,
right.
I would agree with Johnny. I think this card definitely. It depends on how clumped up the terrain is on the map, on how good this card is going to be. Because I definitely think. Like, getting Speed 5 randomly is always kind of nice, especially if you don't have a whole lot of Speed 5 guys. I mean, then that's essentially, like, the worst case scenario you're getting Speed 5.
Well, okay, so if you're stunned, this is the cool thing about this. If you're stunned, you can still use this. So you see Boba Fett coming out of the Sarlacc pit. I mean, come on, Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit, he's stunned. He uses the Jump Jets to get out, and then he takes an action.
Can you use that?
Yeah, because you're not moving.
No, but you are trying to voluntarily exit your space.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You are taking your figure you're picking your model up, and you're putting him somewhere else. You are not exiting the space.
How can you not exit the space when you're taking it?
I actually not sure about this. I actually think you are exiting the space. Pushing is the only way you can get around stun.
Well, that's because it's not voluntary. That's usually mandatory because of some other effect.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
All right, so I am going to email Paul, and I'm going to ask him if we can use Jump Jets while you're stunned, and if Parting Blow can be used. So we will get a ruling on this. All right.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong, but okay.
I'm going to bet money that it's still considered exiting.
All right.
We're going to betting over Google Plus here.
Okay. So Capture the Weary is the next card. Hunter can use this. It takes an action. Choose an adjacent hostile figure. That figure becomes weakened, and that figure was already weakened. It suffers 2 damage. I think we already discussed this. You basically go in and kick somebody in the knee, and you put them down on the ground. It's an interesting card. It's a way to get... Oh, I'm sorry, you don't do 2 damage, you do 2 surge.
2 strain.
There is a difference. 2 strain.
Yeah, that card I'm not super excited about. I think
I'm not.
If you got your opponent weakened already, then yay, you're weakened. Why do I need?
I don't know.
It's good.
I think
it's
it
good on
comes down
trainers.
to I think it comes down to hunters. If we see more hunters, I think it's a better card.
Yeah, and I agree with Johnny.
How many points is it?
1.
Yeah, like I said, I just feel like, if I already
got a card slot,
then I've already kind of done what I needed to do there. It's not really like putting a whole lot of hurt on. And then, if I'm just
it allows you to weaken them. It allows you to weaken them.
Yeah, I know, but
you can weaken them and then shoot them.
Using an action to weaken, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would use an action to stun, but I don't know if I would necessarily use an action to weaken. I don't know. Kind of depends on how how that sets up the board, I suppose. But I'm not super thrilled. Let's put it that way.
So, Mandalorian Tactics. Boba Fett's card. Again, if you use Boba Fett, you're using this card. Takes 2 actions, perform 2 attacks, apply +1 surge to each of the attack results. Instead of choosing one ability from Battle Discipline, use all. So,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
get +2 accuracy. You get the +2 damage for a surge. You get the recover 2, and you get a free surge. I mean, so you kind of get to pick what you want to do.
Well, and you always get to trigger his pierce or his plus damage or whatever. Like, again, this is definitely a card, and it just goes along with so many of the named character cards where the cost of it, and like even just the 2 attacks thing, right? Because it's like basically a ranged pummel from Boba Fett. That's always, I mean, people play 2 of pummel and 1 of flurry of blaze when they play the Royal Guard champion. So it'd be hard for me to not justify this if I'm playing Boba Fett.
I agree. I really do agree. So, Boba Fett, amazing. No question about it. Except from Johnny.
Apparently.
Recanted and said that he was
garbage with an asterisk.
top 8 with an asterisk. Yeah, okay. Which I can't wait to talk about. Kane Somos, favorite card of the 3. Just because I love E-Webs. So basically, he has something called Firing Squad. Choose up to 2 adjacent friendly troopers. Each one of those troopers' figures may interrupt to perform an attack targeting the same figure. I get to shoot twice with my E-Webs with this. Okay?
Or
and then...
kind of, because you already got to shoot twice with your E-Web, right?
Well, and then... So... I'm a little unsure about Squad Command. I don't know exactly how it works because it's the surge down here. If it was the surge up here, I would understand.
It works exactly the same as all the other surges. So when he's attacking, he can spend a surge to focus a guy.
Okay. An adjacent friendly trooper, which is pretty nice. I would wonder if you would have to do damage to this. With a normal focus, I was going to say with a normal focus, you do have to do damage. With like recover, you don't have to do damage.
Yeah, but this one is different because it doesn't say focus yourself. It doesn't just say focus. It's separate. So I do not believe, I can double check, but I do not believe that you have to do damage in order to focus some other people.
I would agree with you. His attack is blue-green, which isn't great. His surge abilities aren't great. It's other than his main surge ability. +1 damage or pierce 1. I don't think we'll see a lot of damage from this guy, but he's more of a sport guy. He is a trooper and a leader.
I actually really I'm with you, Isaac. I think this was my favorite card out of the 3. Not because I don't like Boba Fett or R2 or all that stuff, right? But just because I looked at that card and immediately my thought process was, wow, this is another Imperial archetype, other than just spamming Royal Guards and officers and stuff like that. This gives me a legit, and maybe it's not the best list, but it gives you a legit way of doing more trooper-based stuff, especially with the heavy trooper and then the elite stormtrooper and the normal trooper. You have so many trooper options now that you can actually do quite a bit with that trooper idea. And I think he definitely brings a lot to the table in that regard because the getting multiple attacks out of a lot of your troopers, I think is really awesome because one of the things that really hurts a lot of times with especially the lead stormtroopers is one of them will die and then it'll focus another one and then you'll get an activation but maybe those guys already went or whatever and then your opponent will kill the one that's focused and the focus passes but you felt like you missed out on a potential shot there and I think this guy kind of makes up for that. I actually really like his range attack because it kind of lets him hang in the back and still get shot.
It does. Yep.
The other thing that's actually really awesome about this guy is because he is a trooper himself, and he's a singleton figure, he can move up ahead of the other stormtroopers, and then when they get next to him, they get their tactics or whatever, so they get their rerolls. So you don't have to try and engineer moving your stormtroopers so they're always getting the rerolls, which is another nice little bonus to this guy. He's also a leader, of which there's a whole bunch of leader cards that are really great, like the one where you can focus 2 adjacent guys. that in addition to his ability to attack and then focus a guy, I actually like. He's one of those guys where I've been like bouncing ideas around in my head for like, how am I going to play this guy?
I'm playing him with Elite E-Webs.
Yeah, like,
I mean, I just see that guy and I'm like, Elite E-Webs. So, firing squad, good. Single purpose firing squad twice, really good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like I said, haven't been focused on the E-Web quite as much as I've been focusing on like the heavy stormtrooper and then the elite normal stormtroopers, because like the elite stormtroopers already focus themselves a lot of the time, and so when you're adding even more focus, it's like they're all rolling blue, green, green constantly, right? And then you can bring him back to life because he's a leader. Like I said, I like where they're going with this trooper theme, and I kind of hope it becomes a thing. I think one of the things I'm a little afraid of with that, look at that style of list, is how big of like elite saboteurs, how much do they really wreck it, because they do so much damage, and when you're all clumped up, it can be a big problem. But yeah, like I said, I really like this guy. If nothing else, he'll be a nice diversion for a few months, while I try and see if troopers can be a thing. But like I said, I really like this guy. He was a nice surprise of the three.
I really love this guy. So his first main card is Rank and File, 1 point. Use at the start of activation. You and each adjacent friendly figure trooper gains 1 movement point. Interesting card. I like it a little bit. Might get you to move your E-Webs a little bit more. For regular stormtroopers, I don't know if you'll use it as much. I think there's better 1 point cards, but 1 point.
I actually kind of like this because it's like the brawler one where the close the gap where you.
I hated the brawler card, but go ahead.
No, I actually really like that one because it kept you from having to move your. Everybody will try and stay away from your roll guards and stuff like that, and be like that one space away. And that card lets you kind of like be like, oh, you were trying to stay away from me, now get back. And I don't think this card is as good as that card necessarily, but it's also cheaper, and it can be kind of a nice surprise in the middle of a fight. I actually kind of like this one.
So another good trooper deck card is Squad Swarm. Use after activating a group. You may immediately activate another ready group with the same name. The combined cost of both groups cannot exceed 15. This is good for normal stormtroopers with elite stormtroopers because that's exactly 15 points.
Well, it's also elite stormtroopers with the basic heavy stormtrooper, which is another pretty nasty combo. Because I keep envisioning this like, yeah, because the heavy stormtrooper is 6, the basic one.
Yeah.
And then the elite stormtroopers are 9, so that's.
Yeah, but they have to have the same name.
Oh, never mind. That's the same name. Oh. Well, that's lame. I was kind of hoping that they'd be able to combo up like that because I kept thinking like when I first read that card, I was like, oh, awesome! Now I'll be able to like Kane Somos, have one of my elite stormtroopers attack with one of my heavy stormtroopers, and then I'll combo into this card where my next activation I'll activate elite stormtroopers and then do heavy stormtroopers right afterwards, and it's like this storm of attacks all of a sudden, right? But yeah, that's a little bit more. Man, I really wish that was. It's still a really good card, but I was really excited to do heavy stormtroopers with it. Now my bubble has been burst.
Sorry about that. All right, so
Rally found out now instead of playing with it, but yeah.
Yeah, no. So Rally the Troops is a really good card. It reminds me a lot of the New Orders. Takes an single action to ready a Trooper's deployment card, rather than 2 actions to ready 1 adjacent friendly figures. You can do this within 3 spaces, which is nice, and it only takes a single action. So no needing to officer up to officer.
Well, and these kind of cards are like my hope for how the trooper deck or how the trooper list is going to play out against like saboteurs, because saboteurs all have white dice, and the stormtroopers are actually already really good at killing white dice because you have a volume of attacks which you can get past the dodge a lot easier, and they do really consistent damage. So what I'm kind of hoping what's going to play out with this whole trooper build is the saboteurs will try and get close to you, and then all of a sudden you'll unleash this like torrent of attacks on them, where you're activating this guy and this guy and this guy, and all these stormtroopers are going back to back to back and just like destroying the saboteurs really fast. So hopefully that's how it works out, and I don't get blasted to death. So we'll see.
All right. So let's go ahead and pull up the images, or my image of holding the troopers. C-3PO. I think Haida mentioned how this will be the easiest figure of all to paint. You just paint them gold and then you touch them up, or you can paint them silver and touch them up. But
yeah, I think you're gonna blast this guy with some gold paint, and then you're gonna throw on some Devlin mud or whatever brown wash you use. Do a little touch up, and he will be good to go. I was pretty excited about that because I do not like spending a lot of time painting, and he definitely seems like one that you can bust out.
I wonder how many silver C-3POs we'll see.
I don't know. I can see doing the leg silver only because in so many of the movies he's got that like one leg where it's like silver on the bottom. But yeah, no. Like I said, I definitely. I think let me say this. I think I'm doing my gold because what. You can't have 3PO without goldenrod, right? I mean, that's like his thing. So.
All right, and then you have R2-D2. He's a nice little model. Comparison. I saw a lot of the guys who play Star Wars minis. They were a little upset because he was so big, but you got to also remember there was a little guy, midget, sitting inside of there, Kenny. So. That is actual size. Like that's
when you put them together next to each other like that, they actually look right. Like because there was times where 3PO would put his arm up on top of R2-D2, like right on top, like his arm was level with the top of R2-D2. So I've been around in one of the built R2-D2s, the one, and I think they had one in Gen Con, mulling around. And they are big, right? It looks big to me, so maybe it's my perception, but it looked right to me. I'm not going to complain too much.
All right, and then you got Somos. I like Somos. He's pretty cool. He's your average stormtrooper, except he is leader. He has a little shoulder pad. He's pretty cool. I like him.
He's got the whole officer thing, like go shoot that. He's got the little arm, like
he's
that.
Like go over there, over there somewhere. Go that way. And then he has a couple packs on him. It's going to be a lot of fun to paint up. Size for a stormtrooper, he's roughly the same size. He seems like he's a little bit stronger just because his arms are wider than him compared to a heavy stormtrooper, and a little bit shorter it looks like just by a hair. And then stormtrooper versus this guy, again you got the little hair difference, shooting whatnot again. And then I really can't wait to paint this model. I really can't. It's Boba Fett. I mean, this Boba Fett, he's either going to look really, really good or he's going to look gray. Anybody that can paint this guy will probably make him look amazing. Or you're just going to leave him because he looks pretty daunting to paint. I think Haida mentioned painting is going to be pretty difficult getting it underneath of there.
Yeah, he's got his arms. Like, they're just enough off of his chest where it's like getting
right like that. Right like that.
Look at it's going to be a bit of a trick, but yeah, no, the model is definitely fantastic, and if you can put a semi-decent paint job on that thing, it's going to look amazing. So yeah, I'm pretty amped about that.
I am very, very happy with this model. Like I feel like the little cloak is just going to add so much to him.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about. Johnny's asterisked a little bit. We'll talk about me because I didn't do as well. I did top 16 at 16. I was ranked 16. I went
no asterisks.
No asterisks though. No asterisks.
Legit 16.
Yeah. Legit 16. Okay, so what happened? I played some really good players. The best player, actually, in my opinion, the best player that I played had Darth Vader. Johnny gets his mic on to get ready to talk. The best player had Darth Vader. This guy was really good. You okay there, Johnny? He was really good. and I felt like he moved a couple of his officers, and I had to sacrifice some of my royal guards to kill his officers. It was a standard officer Darth Vader royal guard build. I sacrificed my royal guards to kill two of his officers that he left in the open. One of them took one. Johnny, your mic's messing up there, buddy.
Yeah, you're like brushing it or something, Ben.
There you go. All right, so Darth Vader, I had my royal guards. I realized after the fact that I made a mistake and I put him one space. I left a little bubble there, and I wanted to kill his officers, and then I realized I left that little bubble, and it let Darth Vader come up and brutality of the two guys, and he got them both to. He did 7 damage to both of them. I didn't get Protector off because they were right next to each other, and so he force choked the one, and then he lightning the other, or did something crazy. But the one guy ended up with 1 health left. At the start of my turn, I didn't activate that group first. I went for my EWUBs, got my EWUBs to shoot, and he didn't kill the guy. He brought Vader back down with an officer, and I was able to move my royal guard. Like, he had a big mess of guys, and I'm like, okay, there's a royal guard there. I'm losing my royal guard, and so I just put my royal guard in the group of his, like, 4 royal guard madness and Darth Vader, and I just whack on his officer. I felt like that was a pretty decent move. He died, but it was well worth killing. I ended up winning the game barely. I made a couple mistakes. That being one. The next mistake was I had the terminals, both terminals, the crates where you would put the stress on top, and he stole the one and on the first turn and just capped it immediately. I took my time and I waited to cap him. I wanted to wait till there was 9 on both and then cap them both. That way I didn't have to kill Vader if I didn't want to. I waited an extra turn. I had them both at 9. I thought there's no way he could get into the room and then whack my guy off of there. I was completely forgetting that he could open up the door and move in. And then whack me off the next turn. It didn't matter. I ended up winning. Killed Vader with my EWUBs. Vader just fell to my EWUBs. It was pretty cool.
Dude, your terminology there is just cracking me up. And just whack me right off of it. But yeah.
Officers played a big part in that. My killing his officers definitely hurt him. It was definitely a fun game. I felt like he didn't make a lot of bad moves. I don't think he made any bad moves. In fact, like I said, he was the hardest opponent that I played against. 2 of the games that I lost, the first game I lost was against a 4x4 list. I lost this not because he was beating me, but because time ran out. I had his royal guards to like 1 HP. I had I had 1 EWUB. I had 1 EWUB, my first EWUB. I did make a mistake in the beginning, and I just brought up one of my EWUBs to just start firing immediately because I wanted to. What I should have done was bring up a royal guard and then the EWUB so I could have that protector. I was thinking I could get my EWUB off and just start shooting. I got my EWUB up there, and he just brought up a couple of guys and whacked on my EWUB. I sacrificed New Orders. Another bad play. I was hoping my EWUB had 4 health left. I was hoping I could New Orders, get my EWUB back online. I knew I was going to take 1 whack, and then I was hoping my EWUB could. Sorry, I was hoping my EWUB could come online and start shooting and healing, which is what really makes them painful. And my rolls in that game was horrible. I would get like 1 blue with 1 damage, 1 green with 1 damage, and 1 red with 1 damage. It was just the worst rolls you could see. And then after that, I played the Vader guy. My rolls were amazing, decent, average. But his rolls, I was able to kill Vader, obviously, with my EWUBs. I don't think he realized how much power those E-Webs could do to Vader. Otherwise, he would have kept Vader away. But I was like, Vader next to these E-Webs, Vader is going to get toasted. My next game, my last game, which I did end up losing, it was 38 to 38 was the score. I'm sorry, 38 to 36. I had opened up a door. This was the Tatooine map where you capture the little places and whatnot. I opened up one of the doors and sent in my officer next to one of his officers. This was another 4x4 list, except it had an E-Web in it. That was the only difference. My list, if you guys didn't know, was a 4x4 list with 2 E-Webs and 2 officers, or 2
Royal Guards.
Royal Guards. I don't use them enough to know. Anyway, so it was interesting. I made a mistake, and I moved one of my officers off of a contested zone, and it allowed his Royal Guard to cap it at the end of the turn, which was basically what lost me the game. I had take the initiative in my hand. I would have played that and then just shot off one of his any of his units, and I would have won the game. And I had 2 E-Webs on one of his Royal Guards. It would have been painful, and I would have won. And I'm a little upset that I gave him the win. But he did deserve it because he didn't make that stupid mistake. And I told him afterwards, I'm like, hey, you really deserve this win. He was a pretty cool guy. I'm just pretty upset with myself for making such a bad move. But out of this, there were 2 things. This last game really taught me 2 things. One is when you start getting lightheaded, you gotta fix it immediately. 2, you cannot take your eyes off of the objective. You gotta realize what the objectives are. This kind of goes with the first point. The second point is make sure you keep track of your own points. My opponent didn't cheat me. I'm not saying he cheated me. He could have, but he didn't. But at that point in the game, I wasn't realizing that, oh, I just need to kill one more officer and I win. If I would have realized that, then I would have really paid attention. I was letting, I don't know. At first, I thought he was keeping track of my points, not because he told me, not because I asked him to. It was just because, hey, he's keeping track of points. Huh? Keep track of your own points. Also, keep track of your opponent's points, not because if they ask you, you tell them. I mean, obviously, you do. That's the kind thing to do. But keep track of your opponent's points because if it's 38 to 36, you try not to do a bad thing. So, anyways, he killed one of my officers and then capped the thing at the end. But anyways. That's my little nitpick. Okay, so can we talk about Johnny's asterisk? Top 8 asterisk. I would have been top 8 if I would have won that match, by the way. Johnny? If you do not tell, we will tell. Alright, so Johnny made top 8. You want to talk about your scenarios and whatnot?
Okay. Well,
let's talk about your games first, and then we'll talk about
in the first round, I played a 4x4.
No, in the first round, you had a super buy.
Oh, well, yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
In the second round, I played a 4x4.
4x4, which seemed to be the thing of the thing.
And I got a crazy blast, 2 crazy blasts, and killed everything. Turn 1.
That actually sounds amazing.
I had explosive weaponry each time, so I did 5 damage to each group.
Yeesh. Oh, that's painful. Oh. Alright, so you ended up winning that one.
Yeah. And then I played another 4x4.
Okay.
And I blasted and rolled fairly decent and outmaneuvered my opponent.
Alright, you ended up winning this one as well?
Yeah, it was a bounty hunter mission, and I used my Royal Guard, my elite saboteurs as bounty hunters. And
yeah, why would you not use your Gideon or something? I mean, that's...
Oh, yeah.
So, in case you don't know, Johnny's list was 2 elites and then 4 regular saboteurs, and then Gideon and Luke Skywalker. Is that your build?
Yes. Then in the 4th round, I lost. What did I lose to? Oh, I lost to Royal Guard Champion and a bunch of Pro Droids.
There was one list I found very interesting. It was 1 Royal Guard and 3 Royal Guard or 3 Royal Guards and 1 Royal Guard champion. But good. Keep going with that list. How did that list beat you?
That list made top 8.
But how did it beat you?
Oh no, the Royal Guard and Pro Droids. He had 9 activations. He out-activated me and was able to kill a bunch of stuff, and I rolled terrible.
Now let me ask you this: did you go after his officers?
No, I went after a gigantic mess of 6.
All right.
I rolled +1. Yeah.
So at this point, you're 4-1. You need to win 1 more, and you're top 8 for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
What
and
list
then
did you make?
yes.
What
I forgot that we were playing missions, and I forgot to go adjacent to the water crates on Luke's map. And if I do that, I get an extra round of attacking, and we both agreed that most likely I win the game if I do that. But I didn't do that, and I lost.
All right, so you did the same thing I did, and you lost, and you get 9th place. Okay, this is the top 8 with an asterisk. You get 9th place.
You forget that if Adam would have won.
Okay, so it becomes a strength of schedule thing, and this is somebody he played before, and of course he is right if he would have gotten it. Whatever. He didn't get it though. He got 9th place. However, some unfortunate stuff happened with another player, and another player in the top 8 had to leave, which bumped Johnny up to number 8.
Well, and to be clear, it wasn't like cheating or anything like that. The guy just had he had an emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a legit emergency.
I just don't want like later this to be aired and people like, oh my gosh, what happened in top 8? No, it was nothing crazy. It was crazy, but it's not like it wasn't somebody cheating or anything like that.
The guy was cool.
Outside the game.
The guy was cool. He was a pretty good guy. Anyways, so he made top 8, but didn't make it. Rebel's got 2nd place throughout the tournament, and Paul Heaver won. Johnny lost his top 8 match, so if he would have won, we would have caught him top 4 without anything else.
An asterisk. No.
I don't think we would have gotten
okay. If I would have won my match, I think I'm in the final because I played Brian.
Okay, so he ends up in his top 8 match. In his top 8 match, he ends up playing his own list, except the only difference is instead of one of the saboteurs, regular saboteurs, they have Jen O'Dan, which you also had Mac.
No, we had the same list except for he had Jin. The issue is he rolled 2 dodges in a row that changed the dynamic in the game. I had the lead for the good portion of the first part of the game, and if he doesn't dodge those 2 attacks in a row, I take control of the game, and the game is flipped. That's the gene of the game. It was actually a really close game, even though the score didn't depict that.
Right. So lots of interesting things happened. It was a great thing. Out of the whole experience, I learned a couple of things. One of the first is I've been playing a card all wrong, which I had no idea I had been until I was watching the final match and I saw Paul Heaver. He played which card was it? Give me a second here. Okay, did I take it out?
Guardian Stance.
Guardian Stance, which reads right here it is. I'm glad I had it separated so I could talk about it. So Guardian Stance. I thought with this card, because of the word or, the second ore, not the first ore, that you could choose to either reroll the attack dice of your opponent or the defense dice of yourself. Now, you can reroll one or the other. That wasn't the part that I got confused. The part is you could do both. And I want to contact Paul about this one, too, just to make sure, because of the word or, I think it needs to be and or, if you can do both. But anyways, what happened in the final match, and it didn't matter at the final, because at this point, Paul Heaver pretty much wins the game. It's basically he gets to reroll his defense dice and then makes his opponent reroll the attack dice. It was it was a little bit more powerful than what I gave it credit for. So, anyways, thoughts on the tournament? Nope. All right. So I think that's
play. So it looked cool, but I was playing something else at the moment, so I missed out on it.
So getting to meet both Johnny and Haida was definitely an experience to be remembered. Being able to talk with developers was really cool. We got 2 really cool interviews while we were there. I don't know.
Back to what Isaac just said. His first words out of his mouth when we first met was, "Wow, you guys are a lot more dorky than I would have thought you were."
Yeah. Okay, so that probably was, especially Johnny. Like, okay, so Johnny, you can probably tell like he's a little guy, but he is a tiny guy. Like, not like short tiny, but like tiny. Like I didn't expect Johnny to be that tiny. Like, it was just, I've never seen somebody that tiny before.
Well, I mean, it was just funny. Like, I remember, like, I was like, "Hey, Isaac, how are you doing, man?" And he was like, "Wow, you guys are a lot more dorky than I would have thought you were, even from the cast." And I was like, "All right." Nice.
Yeah. So I liked it. I mean, you guys were pretty cool. Like, I don't know. I expected Johnny to be, what I've seen, and then when I saw him, I was like, "Oh, okay." And then Haida, you were definitely not what I quite expected, but you were. I could see it. I don't know. I'm sure I was more.
No big deal. I thought it was funny, so it's not a big.
No, it was pretty cool. I mean, we got to hang out and talk with the developers. Like I said, we got 2 really cool interviews. Which, Johnny, when will those interviews be up? Roughly.
I have technical difficulties right now.
Okay, technical difficulties. Hopefully those interviews will be up. I want to talk to you later about that, Johnny. So, anyways, 2 really cool interviews. Should be getting those up. One's video, one is audio. We get to... oh, man, there's so much that happened. Like I said, I only did 2... I did the X-Wing tournament, I did the Imperial Assault tournament, and then I demoed it again because it was Gen Con. You got to demo games while you're there. And then Octor's Rift, or whatever that game was. It was interesting. The playtester, or the person in charge of the play group, didn't know the rules, so it was very interesting. Yeah, no, it was. She didn't want to be there. But anyways.
Okay. So we're close to 2 hours. I think we can close it out, and we'll talk about Hoth in an upcoming week.
All right. So one thing I want to point out, and I found this very surprising by Fantasy Flight Games, is when they put up their previews, unlike with what they do with X-Wing and all their other games, they did not blur out the images. So you can actually zoom in on the images and read what they say. So we actually have Leia's unspoiled, and we have a bunch of other ones unspoiled. I found that interesting. So until next time, I'm Tori's.
I'm Hita77.
And I'm Johnny B815.
You call yourself Alex? All right. And stop broadcast.